One of the first projects that I developed was called Arndell Avenue, which is in Baulkham Hills, as this was where I was living in my mid-20s. And it was 16 townhouses backing onto Old Windsor Road, all 3 bedrooms, double garage. That project had a fair degree of slope down here, and it had a few design difficulties, but a lot was learnt from that project. Not far away from that was a project that I called Delaney Drive, which we successfully sold through some investor networks, and they were all duplexes. Duplexes were the way to do things. That's a duplex with all these backyards, very sloping site, so it created a few problems, but we managed that. That was a successful project. Another project not too far away was James Street, Baulkham Hills. This was $16 townhouses, very close to the James Street's very close to the Baulkham Hills centre. That was a successful project that we sold quite well. Another project in that area is Wildwood Way, and I actually did this project as a joint venture with the landowner, and the landowner retained the title to that house, and that house, and my arrangement was that I got the title to all those townhouses there in return for developing the whole thing, building this cul-de-sac head and developing those townhouses, all 3 bedrooms, double garages. This was the next project I'll call Castle Street, which was in Castle Hill, and was an interesting project in that I picked up this site quite cheaply at the time off a developer that had gone broke, who had already built that first stage. The reason he'd gone broke really was his building techniques were wrong, and my experience in building had taught me a lot about how to build good space, good carcasses quite cheaply. So I took over that project and built these 26, another 26, another 26. That was the biggest project I'd done at the time, 75. We sold all those. I ended up keeping quite a few in this last stage. You can see the driveway colour changes. Another project that was a very brave project when I did it was at Quakers Hill, Hambledon Road, Quakers Hill. This was 55 townhouses, very cheap end product, all single garage. I actually put 5 bedrooms, single garage, little tiny houses in here, and people were renting them out to 5 different people at a time. None of the land surrounding it was developed at the time, and we sold them to all to investors during construction. Another project that was close by was called Noble Way. I basically named the projects by their street name. This was a project that I bought this parcel of land and this parcel of land off Stockland, and I designed double garage townhouses fronting onto this play oval, and I put all the car parking and garaging at the rear. It was quite an innovative design at the time. It was a very successful project. It was built in Rouse Hill. At the time it was brave, but it turned out very well. Parsonage Road is another project nearby. Now, at the moment it's in Castle Hill. It's all surrounded by apartments, but at the time it wasn't. They were single houses. And these here townhouses are the ones that we built, quite a sloping site. All of these projects had, I learned a lot about stormwater retention and council conditions. I fought very hard to get those to be allowed to be built backing onto that road, and we ended up winning and getting that approved and obviously successfully built. Another good project that had some interesting stories was the project built at Canara Way in West Pennant Hills. This is the project here. A very sloping site from the roadway. All these backyards are about 6 or 7 metres above that road. That was an interesting engineering challenge to come up this driveway. These are all townhouses. There's a big 2-metre retaining wall behind the back of these townhouses, moving into those. And actually those backyards were the first time I ever used prefabricated concrete panels, and I laid panels over those yards and put fake grass on the top of them. I don't know if you can see if that's fake grass, but and the double garages for these houses are in underneath these precast panels that we used. Then I've also done quite a few Queensland projects. This project won quite a few awards, and it is 14 houses in Noosaville. It's quite a well-known project now, and people get good money for these. Someone that I work with at the moment actually sold one of these for $1.3 million. I was told we were going to get about $850,000 when we bought the site. I'll never forget buying that site. The day I bought that site was September 11, 2001. We all know what happened on September 11, 2001, and that was a scary proposition, but it became a very successful project. A project that then I started to do some commercial projects, and we one of those very successfully managed and completed was, I call it Coolum Beachfront, and there was a newspaper article on the day I bought this. I bought that for $11 million, but I actually bought it by way of an option, and the option, I took an option on it to pay $11 million, and at the time I took the option, the rentals were achieving a gross rental of $360,000 for those shops. I then spent about $600,000 renovating the shops, with the consent of the current owner, by showing him that I was improving his asset. Then I went and renegotiated all the rents on the new improved shopping centre, and I increased the rents to $1.2 million per annum from $360,000, and had all people signed in for 3-year terms. That enabled the bank to fund that project. At settlement, I sold half of it to Ralph Sarich in Perth, and he paid enough for his half that meant that I didn't have to pay for mine. And then after a couple of years, I then sold my half to Kevin Seymour, who since has had Wattpack develop that project. Another project close by was Balderstone Hornibrook did a project at the back of the Hyatt, and they went broke doing this land subdivision in here called the Lakes. I bought the last 12 lots off them quite cheaply, and then I designed and built houses for, developed some relationships with some people in here. This one here is, built a house there for Ray Martin from Channel 9, and the man that does the music for Channel 7. This house here, I designed and built that, won an award for small lot housing. This particular house here was designed and built by me, and it won the best house in Queensland at the time. There's some of the projects that I've been involved in, of course, and then Pregin Springs, where we bought 450 lots off FKP, including this one for 100, the land over here, and also this parcel here, which is the retirement village. There's some of the projects that I've done.